You locked your door tonight. You turned off the lights, checked your phone one last time, pulled the blanket over your shoulders, and closed your eyes. And then something moved in your garden. Not a fox, not a cat, not the wind. Something small. Something deliberate, something that has been visiting your garden for months, possibly years, and you have never once seen it. It knows your garden better than you do. It knows which corner stays damp after rain, which stone hides the most beetles underneath, which part of your fence has a gap just wide enough to squeeze through. And tonight, like every night before this, it came back. You just didn't know. Here is what scientists discovered when they first attached tiny radio trackers to hedgehogs in urban gardens. They expected simple, random movement, an animal wandering, searching, lost. What they found instead stopped them cold. Every single hedgehog had a route, not a rough direction, not a general area, a precise, repeating, nightly route. The same sequence of stops, the same fence gaps, the same garden corners, executed with the consistency of someone walking to work. One hedgehog in a study in Oxford covered 2.4 kilometers in a single night, through 6 different gardens, under 4 fences, across 2 roads, and it returned home before sunrise, every single night. The researchers called it a cognitive map, a mental GPS, built over months of exploration, refined through trial and error, stored somewhere inside a brain the size of a walnut. Your hedgehog isn't wandering, it's commuting. But here is what no one tells you. The hedgehog doesn't see your garden. Not really. Its eyesight is so poor that in daylight it cannot distinguish a human face from a garden wall at 1 meter distance. Colors are mostly lost to it. Fine detail is a blur. So how does it navigate with such precision? Through something far older than vision. A hedgehog's nose contains approximately 2,000 scent receptors. For comparison, a dog has around 300 million. But what the hedgehog lacks in volume, it compensates in something else entirely: layered scent memory. Every object in your garden leaves a chemical signature in the air. The compost bin, the flower bed after rain, the patch of soil where a worm surfaced 3 nights ago and left its trail. The hedgehog reads these signatures the way you read street signs. And when something changes, when you move a plant pot, or cut the grass, or place a new object near the fence, the hedgehog stops, freezes, nose working furiously. It stands there for up to 40 seconds, processing the unfamiliar signal, comparing it against everything it already knows. Then it updates its map, and continues. Now let's talk about what happens when it finds what it's looking for. Most people assume hedgehogs are gentle, passive creatures, small and harmless, wandering softly through the dark. That image is wrong. A hedgehog on a hunt is something entirely different. It moves in silence, not because it is timid, but because silence is a weapon. Its ears, hidden beneath those spines, can detect a beetle walking across a dry leaf from over a meter away. It can hear an earthworm moving through soil 20 centimeters underground. When it locks onto a signal, it stops, one paw raised, nose almost touching the ground, and then, with a speed that genuinely shocks people who witness it for the first time, it strikes. In a single night, a hedgehog consumes an average of 70 to 80 slugs and snails. Add to that several hundred beetles, grubs, and larvae. The exact number varies by season, but researchers in one long-term study calculated that a single hedgehog removes more garden pests in 1 night than a human gardener eliminates in an entire season of effort. Gardeners figured this out centuries ago. The Romans kept hedgehogs as pest control. Medieval English farmers actively encouraged them into their grain stores. The hedgehog was never just a cute visitor. It was always the night shift worker your garden quietly relied upon. Here is the moment in this story where something shifts. Because so far, this hedgehog sounds invincible. Precise, intelligent, efficient, a perfectly engineered night machine. But there is one thing it cannot do: find water. Not easily, not reliably. During dry summer months, hedgehogs face a crisis that almost no one is aware of. Dehydration sets in faster than starvation. kidney failure follows within days. A hedgehog that cannot find standing water, not dew, not puddle, not pipe drip, but actual accessible water, begins to deteriorate within 48 hours. The tragedy is that the solution is almost absurdly simple. A shallow dish, any dish, placed near a hedge or fence, filled with fresh water, that is all. Hedgehog rescue centers across Britain report that in peak summer, over 60% of hedgehogs brought in are suffering primarily from dehydration, not injury, not illness, not predator attack, just thirst. The hedgehog visiting your garden tonight may have walked past 5 gardens before finding yours. It may have been walking for 2 hours, searching for water. That dish you never thought to put out? It might be the reason your hedgehog comes back tomorrow night. October arrives. The nights grow longer. The air changes. And something shifts inside the hedgehog. It is not a decision. It is a signal. Chemical, ancient, embedded in biology long before humans existed. The signal says, eat more, not a little more, dramatically more. The hedgehog that was consuming 80 slugs a night now needs 120. Its body is building something critical, a reserve, because what is coming next is the most dangerous thing a hedgehog faces in its entire life. Not a fox, not a car, not a garden tool, winter itself. Hibernation is widely misunderstood. Most people picture it as a long, peaceful sleep, cozy and safe beneath the leaves. The reality is closer to a controlled near-death. A hibernating hedgehog's body temperature drops from 35 degrees Celsius to as low as 1 degree above the surrounding air. Its heart rate falls from 280 beats per minute to fewer than 20. Breathing slows to once every few minutes. Every organ in its body shifts to emergency standby. And here is what makes this terrifying. It can go wrong. If the hedgehog entered hibernation underweight, if October was too dry, or the garden too managed, or the slugs too few, the fat reserves run out before spring arrives. The hedgehog simply does not wake up. No drama, no struggle. It just stops. Researchers estimate that between 1/3 and half of all juvenile hedgehogs born each year do not survive their first hibernation. Every autumn night that hedgehogs spent in your garden was not just a meal. It was a calculation, a bet against death. But go back 6 months, go back to June, because there is something that may have happened in your garden that you never noticed. Something quiet, hidden, extraordinary. A birth. Hedgehog hoglets are born in litters of 3 to 7. They arrive pink, blind, and hairless. And here is the detail that people find most extraordinary when they first hear it. The spines are there, all of them. Every single spine already formed, but held just beneath the skin, submerged in fluid, invisible. This is not random. This is engineering. A hedgehog giving birth with exposed spines would be catastrophic for the mother. So evolution found a solution that feels almost too elegant to be accidental. The spines remain sheathed for the first hours of life, then slowly, over the course of a day, emerge through the skin as the fluid is reabsorbed. Within 24 hours, the first white spines are visible. Within a week, the darker adult spines begin to replace them. Within 6 weeks, the hoglets are walking, and this is when something remarkable happens. The mother takes them out, into your garden, into the dark, into the exact route she has walked hundreds of times, and she teaches them. Not with sound. Hedgehogs are nearly silent animals. She teaches through proximity, through demonstration. She stops at a scent source, and they stop beside her. She digs at a patch of soil, and they watch, and then try themselves. She pauses at a new obstacle, and they learn to pause. The route you never noticed being drawn across your garden? It is being redrawn, copied, passed down. Your garden is not just a feeding ground. It is a classroom, and it has been one for generations. Now comes the part of this story that is harder to tell, because the hedgehog that navigated predators for millions of years, that outlasted the woolly mammoth, that survived every ice age, that evolved a defense system so effective that even badgers struggle to breach it, is in serious trouble. Not from nature, from us. The numbers are stark. Britain's hedgehog population has declined by over 95% since 1950. Germany has recorded losses of similar scale. Across Europe, a creature that was once so common it was considered a nuisance is now listed as a species of conservation concern. The cause is not a single catastrophe. It is 1,000 small ones. Garden netting left out at night, in which hedgehogs become fatally entangled. Pond and pool edges too steep for an animal that swims, but cannot climb smooth vertical surfaces. Slug pellets that kill the very prey the hedgehog needs to survive. Perfectly maintained lawns with no leaf piles, no log stacks, no wild corners. Gardens so clean and managed that there is simply nowhere left to shelter. And the lawnmower. The lawnmower deserves its own sentence. When a hedgehog senses danger, its reflex is to curl. This reflex, which evolved over millions of years against biting predators, is devastatingly wrong against a rotating blade. Hedgehogs do not run, they roll. And they do this even from a lawnmower they can hear coming. Every year, thousands die this way, in gardens belonging to people who had no idea their hedgehog was there. It is 4:47 in the morning now. The hedgehog has covered 2.1 kilometers tonight. It consumed 63 slugs, a clutch of beetle larvae from beneath your rosebush, and drank from the saucer of water near your back fence, the one you put out 3 weeks ago, almost as an afterthought. It is heading home now, not the way it came, never the way it came. It takes a different route back. Researchers believe this is a predator avoidance behavior, a way of ensuring that no hunting pattern can be learned from its movement. It reaches the gap beneath your garden shed, pauses, nose working, checking, listening. Satisfied, it pushes through into the nest it built from dried leaves and moss in September. It turns a slow circle, once, twice, and lowers itself down. By the time your alarm goes off, it will be in a sleep so deep its heartbeat will be inaudible to the human ear. Your garden will look exactly as you left it. Nothing disturbed, nothing changed, no sign that anything was ever there. And here is the thing I want to leave you with. The hedgehog in this story is not a metaphor. It is not a symbol. It is a specific animal, living a specific life in a real garden somewhere, possibly yours. And it has been doing this for somewhere between 3 and 5 years, which is the typical urban hedgehog lifespan. 3 to 5 years of nightly routes, of learned maps, of hunts you never witnessed, and winters it barely survived, of hoglets that may have been born under your shed and learned their first roots through your flower beds, and are now, themselves, visiting gardens you will never see. A whole lineage, a whole dynasty, playing out in the dark, 6 feet from your back door. The question that stays with me, the one I think about long after the research is done and the notes are closed, is this. How many nights did it take before your garden became part of its map? Was it curious the first time it squeezed through your fence? Did it hesitate at your back path, nose working, calculating risk? Did it decide, in whatever way hedgehogs decide things, that your garden was worth coming back to? You will never know. But tonight, when you lock your door and turn off the lights and close your eyes, it will come back. It always does.